watching Raw with Marty Gallagher and JP Bryce on ICTV. Today we're going to discuss power eating and how to use it to build muscle and strength while burning fat.
Theoretically.
So we've got Marty here, and he's the king of power eating. So Marty, what is power eating exactly?
Well, it's a label, a moniker that we just assign to the strategy of putting the premier emphasis on food potency, as opposed to the other usual dietary parameters. Oh, how many calories are you taking in? What's your micronutrient breakdown? What else? What's your carb to fat? All that, and we say, what's overlooked is the idea of how potent are the foods that you're actually eating, right? And there's such a variance when you compare, let's say, the supermarket proteins, the industrial animals, the industrial seafood, the industrial everything, compared to the locally sourced, seasonally appropriate proteins that you get when you go to the local butcher shop or the farmer's market, right? That's we want to bring it back to, if your nutrients are really, there's a big variance out there right now because some nutrients are super potent and others are impotent, right? Because of the way that they're created. Obviously the artificial stuff, we gotta jettison that, right? Refined carbs, candy, sweets, pastries, alcohol, any and all artificial foods, they gotta go. So what are you left with? You're left with natural foods. There's a maxim or a motto that we use that it goes, if it's not protein, fat, or fiber carb, it's undigested sugar, right? Because everything else is just glycogen waiting to be broken down inside you once it's digested.
Right.
You tracking?
Yeah, so we want fresh, we want natural, we want potent. The freshest food is going to be the most potent as far as nutrients, and we want to try to source local because those are always going to be the freshest.
Imagine the potency difference between, in my neighborhood, I get grass-fed, grain-finished Black Angus beef from a local Mennonite butcher. I have true farm to table because I go to the farm and buy it and bring it home and put it on my table. That's pretty good, right? Pretty direct. So living in the country, we have good access to quality ingredients. So then the game becomes, can you prepare them expertly without messing them up? Of course, I would use a profanity, but we won't. But I'm just saying that we get the best quality nutrients, prepare them simply and expertly, and that's the way to eat. And that's the sustainable diet that a person can live by. And if you want to increase lean muscle mass, you'll add in some starch calories, some rice, some potatoes, right? If you want to get ripped, you'll take the starch out and jack up the cardio and kind of go back to the protein, fat, starch, right? And then you eliminate everything else, and that's how you get ripped. That combined with intense cardio and intense lifting, right? That's the classical bodybuilder strategy for getting maximally lean. Say what you will about the bodybuilders. They are form without function, but they're the world's best dieters, and everybody, even at a local level, routinely is achieving 5 to 7% body fat percentiles. And they all use the same tactic. It's take out the foods from your diet that spike insulin. Right?
Yeah. And a lot of this is just common sense. I mean, we just go back to really how we all used to eat and should eat, but technology kind of just mucked the whole thing up and brought in, processed this and that, and, we flew off the rails here.
Well, there's a lot of different experts date back when humanity began, but let's say it began 500,000 years ago. We fully developed as a species as hunter-gatherers. We were not farmers. We didn't settle down and become farmers until probably 10,000 years ago with the widespread introduction of agriculture. Until then, humans had to follow the migratory habits of the animal herds, right? If the buffalo herd went south in the winter and north in the summer, humans had to follow that, right?
Yeah.
Because that was their sustenance. They weren't stable farmers who lived in one place and grew crops. That didn't happen until about 10,000 years ago, which is like an eye blink in the history of humanity. So for all those eons, and even in the past 10,000 years, up until World War II, my father ate organic because there was no industrialized supermarkets. Really didn't become popular in the United States until the late 50s and the 60s. Until then, you had the butcher shop, you had the produce stand, you had the dairy that would deliver to your house, right?
Yeah.
Everybody ate organic and locally sourced potent nutrients until the advent of whatever you want to call it, the third industrial revolution, when we were barraged with all those artificial foodstuffs in the 60s, the fast food, the canned foods, all of it. I mean, it was just like, and humans are not designed to run on that for fuel. For fuel, we're like Ferraris, right? We're refined vehicles who should be running on high-octane racing fuel, and instead we're trying to run on kerosene, essentially.
So the whole goal behind power eating for the normal person should be, to be healthy, to be a healthy human being, to get back to basics. For us, weightlifters, athletes, it's to help us build muscle, it's to help make us stronger, it's to lean out and shed body weight, body fat.
Right.
And
right.
So how does the regular guy, the regular Joe, start adhering to the power eating philosophy? What do you recommend?
Stop going to the supermarket. Right. You gotta get it together, man, and go to the farmer's market. Find a butcher shop. There's one around. Talk to the guys behind the counter. Do you have a fishmonger? I don't know. Depends on where you live. I like a selection of seafood, beef, pork, but our proteins are potent and, they're not concentration camp animals that were, raised in some chicken farm gigantic complex where they have 200,000 chickens at any one time, and none of them touch the ground or see sunlight, and they're all jammed full of steroids to accelerate growth and other things to prevent herd infectation and killing the whole flock. Those are the foods that you're eating. Compare that to a range-fed chicken. I mean, and we won't even get into the taste is synonymous with potency, right? Taste and potency, they are one and the same. That's why elite chefs and elite athletes are after the same foodstuffs. Elite chefs want these power-packed foods because they're the most flavorful. And elite athletes want these flavorful, delicious foods because they're the most potent. So it's an interesting convergence, right? Where elite chefs and elite athletes are both after the same foodstuffs. I personally look to elite chefs for prep techniques, right? We have these beautiful potent proteins that I'm able to obtain. Now what? Well, you got the Food Network, you got the YouTube, anything you can call up. You know what I mean? What did I call up? Oh, meatloaf. There was some discussion amongst my boys about meatloaf. And so I had to, okay. So we went back and we did some meatloaf research, and we came up with a good recipe. We test flew it day before yesterday, and it was delicious, right? So anyway.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's, you know,
yes,
it's
yes,
so easy
yes,
to, like you said, there's so many outlets nowadays. Google it, YouTube it. My wife had gotten me one of these meat smokers, and I was like, okay, now I want to do some tri-tip, you know. So I looked on YouTube, and there's like 500 guys on there showing you how to make tri-tip all different ways.
Exactly. And the food is just, don't mess it up. Once you get these good ingredients, then the key is you prepare them with respect and in such a way that it amplifies that natural taste and vibrancy, right? Asparagus, broccoli is in right now. So we get beautiful fresh picked broccoli, little microgreens. I should get up and go in and get you one, but they're these little tiny beautiful broccoli sprouts. So I went on YouTube and one of my favorite chefs, and he suggested steam it for 30 seconds. I was like, so that's what we did. And I said, then douse it in butter and give it some high quality salt. Boom, boom, boom. 30 seconds, butter, salt. We did that last night. It was like vegetable orgasm. I went to the farm yesterday, just as the lady was coming in with the crop that they'd picked the day before and putting on the stand. So I said, I'll take those. So I got 2 giant bags, I think for a total of $6, right? And brought them home. And again, 30 seconds in the steamer, some high quality, locally sourced butter, and some Himalayan pink salt. Bang, bang, bang. 1, 2, 3. And it was like, Stacy said, these might be the best vegetables I've ever had. And I was like, well, they are for right now.
Yeah.
Right?
And there wasn't one call to me to come over and try that out.
Well, yeah. And a month ago, asparagus was in and fresh, which is the king of vegetables, in my opinion. I love asparagus. So we were doing asparagus like 10 different ways. We were having like asparagus festival. We'd have asparagus with bacon, asparagus with pork belly, asparagus, and, it was delicious, right? Asparagus with lots of different cheeses. Gotta have lots of cheese.
So last night you had your broccoli, but it's got all your fiber in it.
It's diet food. It's diet food.
Very low carbs.
It's diet food, brother.
Yeah.
Okay? It's diet food. So you have...
It's potent.
You have those micro green broccoli things with a beautiful rib steak with a lot of quality fat from an animal that's been outside and got vitamin D and has got healthy, right? And it's sublime. It's as good as any restaurant meal you have. And if you just follow the rules, it's pretty hard to mess it up. It's pretty hard to screw up a steak, regardless if you're sauteing it in a pan or you're doing it, on coals or doing it on propane. There's strategies, right? Just got to obey the rules. You won't mess it up.
Well, the other beautiful thing about eating that way too is that when you eat that way, you can pretty much eat as
Yes, sir. Again, if you stay with protein, fat, fiber, carb, have at it, much as you want, right? Because there's no insulin involved. There's no insulin spike. Conversely, if there is insulin in the system, there can be no fat burning, right?
Right.
So, we got to get the insulin out of the system. Then we have to engage in some high-intensity exercise in order to oxidize and mobilize the stored body fat. Only logic, right?
Yeah.
Create the chemical precondition, then later on the intense exercise, melt that fat off. But you can eat protein, fat, and fiber and get ripped.
How do you recommend, though? I mean, because when we say starchy carbs and things like that,
We want the complex. We
sugars and
want the complex carbs. We want the natural carbs. We want potatoes. We want rice. Come on, man. We want oatmeal. You know what we want. We don't want, when we say carbs, something that comes out of a can and is called ravioli. You know, that's no, JP, no more.
Yeah.
You to stop that behavior immediately.
It's for the average person. Maybe it's hard to wean yourself off of that stuff. I mean, what do you suggest?
1 day a week, have at it. Have your damn binge day. I do. Right?
Yeah, that's what I do. So, not only does it
6 days on, 1 day off.
The body, it satisfies the mind as well, because you're trying to eat well all through the week, and that Saturday night's coming or whatever, and you're going to just pig out and have whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Supposedly, I think too, that can actually kind of turbocharge your metabolism for a little bit.
Yeah, it's called the anabolic burst, and essentially what you're doing is you're setting up the almost an intermittent fasting kind of situation, and then on your cheat day, or actually I do like a cheat half day, since I don't eat breakfast anyway. You know what I mean? I don't need to start stuffing myself with waffles at 6 a.m. like you probably do, right? On your cheat day, you get the big breakfast thing going.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll have a couple of meals like on Saturday, and just usually it's dinner, and I'll just eat whatever the heck I want. I won't, it doesn't matter, because I've eaten so good all through the week. So it's like I got to reward myself.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I'll finish off everybody else's leftovers.
And then anything goes. Pizza, tacos, whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's okay. I mean, you're not going to gain weight from that 1 or 2 meals.
And in most cases, your body sheds it anyway within the next 12 hours.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the overview on power eating. Basically, it's just allegiance to organic, but it's not like elite, expensive organic. This is like funky organic. If you go to the farmer's market, if you go to the butcher shop, if you go to the fishmonger, what you'll find is that even though they're organic, their prices are always in line with the supermarket, because they can't compete otherwise. If they're higher than the supermarket, everybody goes to the supermarket. So they have to be at the same level or even a little below. Now, that's not true of the upscale organic, corporate markets. I'm talking about local farmers markets run and managed by local farmers, and butcher shops where they get local animals, right? And fishmongers who have access to local fish. That's what you're looking for. They're there. They're everywhere. All right? Every municipality has these guys, and it's becoming an even stronger movement. But again, everyone's scared off. Oh, organic, it's so expensive. Not if you get away from the corporate organic. That's a good way to put it.
If there's anything I learned from this conversation, it's the word fishmonger.
Indeed. Go read your Charles Dickens, sir.
I'm going to make you a T-shirt that says fishmonger.
I would wear it proudly, brother. I love seafood. I love seafood.
One more question here.
Oh, we're crushing some salmon out here too. We are killing it. We got access to some good Alaskan organic salmon at $8 a pound. So I was telling my boys, they were coming over here. We were like, give us some more money. We gotta go. We're like trying to put money together for a heroin deal, and we were going to buy Alaskan salmon. And we got a whole bunch of it, and had a bunch of lifters over here, and we sauteed it in olive oil and butter and bacon, and these guys were losing their minds. We should have videoed it. Well, we'll do the next one. We'll video the next one.
You ever slice that up and eat it raw?
I'll make you forget all about raw. Come on out. We'll fix you up. We'll have you forget all about raw.
Pretty good raw too.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question. Talk about power eating. How you can infuse that into your post-workout nutrition. What do you recommend?
Well, you got to have a goal. You have to have some sort of
Right.
You've got to have a generalized overall fitness goal. I guess call it fitness. It could be whatever, sports, athletics, whatever. And usually we sync that up with the body weight, right? Increase or decrease. We're either looking to get bigger and stronger or lighter and leaner, generally speaking. We don't train to stay the same, right? What happened? You still with me? Well, I think we might be at a dead space here, Stacy. I guess I probably should keep on talking. So, JP, I don't know if you're there or not.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, buddy. Good. You went dead on me here. I couldn't hear anything for a minute. You all right?
So, yeah, I think we got a bad connection over there. We got to get a different means of connecting this thing.
No, we should probably leap off here anyway. Hey, let me tell you a little bit about the personal training thing and what's going on with that, because we've got a lot of inquiries. I have, for the first time in a lot of years, I've got a little extra free time. So what I'm doing is I'm working with some civilian people, some normal people, and we're trying to get some traction with regular folks in terms of what we call remote coaching. And I've done this for years with the military, and we really got it down to a fine art, but now we're breaking it out into the civilian population. I tell you that, JP, this whole thing with the phones, now my remote folks can video me the top set in their major lifts, and it's like I'm right there in the gym, right?
Yeah, you can FaceTime.
That's the breakthrough. So again, I have the visual, then they tell me their impression, then we're able to, each week what we do is typically we'll use a 12-week periodized program, and we'll look to get from a starting point to an end point which is significantly transformed from wherever they're starting at. Now, in the interim, we have to use a series of strategies. We're working progressive resistance. We're talking to them about their nutrition, but we're talking to them in terms of common sense. What is the goal? Is the goal to add lean muscle mass? Is the goal to reduce body fat? Whatever the goal is, we have the body weight goal synchronized with periodized training goals. We have a cardio goal, a progressive resistance goal, and we have a nutrition goal. And each week, over 12 weeks, we stair step slightly upward. And because of this breakthrough with the phone cameras, now between their input, my visual sense of it, we're able to plot the next move. So we talk once a week. We figure out what we've done and what the next move should be, and it just works like a charm. Everybody makes progress every week because they got me looking over their shoulder. And these strategies work. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of the application of the individual.
Well, these are proven techniques and tactics. I mean, that built some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
So, anybody that's thinking about doing this, it's money well spent, because you're taking the guesswork out of training. If they've got a meet coming up in 6 months or whatever, they want to go ahead and prepare for that. I mean, you can help them out tremendously. And like I said, these are all proven techniques and tactics that have built some of the best guys in the world, like Kowalski, for example.
Yeah, but I think the really sensational thing about this is that these tactics are applied to normal people, and we get the same incredible results on a smaller scale. The same strategies and tactics that worked for the elite of the elite we're using for the regular folks. They're detuned, and the poundages of course are radically reduced, but the same techniques and tactics is what we're using, and that's the beauty of it. Everyone trains the same. They might use different variations of the same lifts, but there are certain key exercises we do, certain key strategies that we use, and it all melds together, and it creates this synergy. And
right.
The results exceed realistic expectations. But we're inclusive and holistic. We're not segmented. Most people emphasize one or two elements of the transformative process. We emphasize 4, which we can get into at another time. It's a pretty comprehensive strategy, but one that's got a long track record now. We've been doing this. We've been doing this a while.
Well, I would suggest anybody that's interested in reaching out to you, go to ironcompany.com, go to our athletes page, and your contact information is right there.
Exactly.
And you can consult with these folks and see if you can help them. And
well,
a lot of these guys you can. You can't help everybody, I would imagine.
We want to make it a good fit. I mean, it's got to work for them. They've got to have the situation, and again, it's not right for everybody. But be happy to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And again, it's all about who you are and where you want to get to. And if you have a clear idea on that, I'm pretty sure we can help.
Right.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
In addition to that, you've also got a couple of books on our site. One is called Purposeful Primitive, which I always hear feedback on. A lot of people think, well, this is one of the greatest books. And I've read it myself, and it's got just so much great information in there about, getting stronger, gaining muscle, nutrition, things like that. There's also Strong Medicine that's on our site. That's also available at Amazon. And then there's your weekly column, Raw with Marty Gallagher. That's on our site if you go to articles and then click on Raw with Marty Gallagher. You'll find those there. You'll also find a huge assortment of fitness equipment and rubber gym flooring. If there's anything you guys need, like dumbbells, barbells, bumper plates, kettlebells, anything, we've got it all. And if there's anything that you want to hear about coming up, I forgot to mention, Kirk's Bar is out now. If you're looking for a great power bar, we just released his new power bar. It goes for $350 delivered. This is an American-made power bar. It's got a beautiful blue Cerakote coating. It's got aggressive knurl. It's got bronze bushings. It's got great spin on it. And 190,000 PSI high tensile strength steel. So it's got everything you need if you're an aspiring strength athlete, or you're already competing, or it's pretty much good for anybody. It's great for high school weight rooms, college weight rooms, commercial gyms, even CrossFit boxes and things. It's got a great center knurl on there, so it's great for all the So check that out too. Kirk's also we just released his lost home videos, and if you want to see something crazy and a dude that's unbelievably thick back in his peak at 1994.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of funny. We had to edit a lot of it out, but we were able to leave about 4.5 minutes in there. So it's
of 26 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So the title on YouTube is Kirk Kowalski's long lost videos, Metrics and Beer. And when you see the video, you know exactly what the title's all about.
And that was easily the calmest of all the events that went down in that debauchery.
Well, and we cut all that out.
No, you didn't. You didn't cut it all out because you didn't see it all.
Those were his crazy days back then.
Well, he had it was more like an era, not a back then. It had an extended. It was anyway. We'll talk on that another time.
He's much calmer now, by the way.
Oh, indeed. Kirk's available.
We're going to sign off.
All right, buddy.
We'll be back in about 2 weeks. We got the holiday next week.
All right.
All right, see you. Bye.
Thank you.